I love a good reality show, and it's been pretty interesting over the years to see what kind of concepts people come up with for these shows. I recently stumbled upon a few Korean reality TV shows, and I have to say, they are just next level. I watched 3 Korean reality TV shows: The Physical 100, The Devil's Plan, and Siren Survived the Island, and we're going to talk about all 3 of those today. I'm going to be very sure that I don't give you any spoilers, so you can watch this whole video and then go watch the shows if you haven't seen them and you're interested in it, without worrying about me ruining anything for you. Because part of the fun, especially with The Devil's Plan, is not knowing really what's going on sometimes. All that being said, let's get into the first show. The Physical 100 was my introduction to Korean reality TV, and it did not take long to get me hooked. One of the things that stood out to me very early on was the demeanor of the contestants on the show. Everybody on the show is so humble and respectful of one another. It was really interesting to see. There seemed to be virtually no ego or desire to flare your chest up at someone that you were intimidated by. Instead, they were really complimentary of the physiques and accomplishments of one another, almost to the point of being self-deprecating. Some of the contestants are Olympic athletes, others are beloved MMA fighters, and you can really get a sense of the deep appreciation and admiration that they have for people who have represented their country. It just all felt very genuine and sincere and positive. American reality TV tends to have a very different tone. And that's not even to say that it's bad or wrong, it's very entertaining in its own right. But there's definitely a very intentional difference in tone between American reality TV and reality TV from other places.
These owners are in for the fight of their life.
Stop blowing in my ear and let me work.
Just 20 miles north of London, Letchworth is Britain's first garden city.
So this was just kind of a nice change of pace. Let me be clear though, that in no way means there's no intensity on the show or between the contestants directly. More than once on the show, you're pitted against someone else in a 1v1, very physical, basically a fight without striking each other. There's some really daunting situations in the show that are really fun to watch play out. What makes this even more interesting is the wide variety of backgrounds of the people on the show. The ultimate goal of the show is to find the ultimate human physique based on its ability to perform. So you have everything from weightlifters, rock climbers, and fighters, to ballet dancers and models and skiers, and literally everything in between. I think there's even a plumber or an electrician or something like that on the show. And like I said, it really pushes people to their limits. Some of these challenges, all the challenges honestly, are very intense. The first episode is basically the introduction episode where we meet all 100 contestants for the first time. When they all arrived, apparently they all had to make a plaster cast of their torso, and now there's a big room filled with these casts, so one by one they have to come into the room and find their torso and stand by it while everyone else comes in. This is where you'll notice that immediate difference in energy I was talking about earlier. The contestants are also honest about who they're intimidated by and who they think's gonna win and where they think they'll fall short, and so complimentary of one another. It's such a different vibe. There seems to be so little ego in everybody in the room. It's a really fun episode to watch despite there being no competitive events. And what's interesting about these plaster casts is when you're eliminated, you have to crush your bust with a hammer on the way out. You have to destroy the representation of your physique once you get eliminated and leave the show. It's a crazy mental aspect to it. I thought that was really interesting to watch. The show often gets compared to Squid Game, if you're looking for a point of reference. The show starts with 100 contestants. Every round people get eliminated until there's only one left, and that person wins the prize of 300 million won, which is about 240,000 US dollars. Physical 100 is absolutely worth a watch, and if you're new to Korean reality TV, I can vouch for it being an excellent introduction. On top of the show just being very interesting and well written and the challenges being good, it's really interesting to get a glimpse into another culture like this. The way the people on the show interact with each other and respond to different situations, and again, the level of humility and openness about being intimidated, you don't see a lot of that. You'll also notice some pretty fun trends as you watch the shows. For example, in Korean reality TV, they love an instant replay. Sometimes it's on a moment that seems so mundane you'll wonder if you missed something, but you didn't. They just love an instant replay in the editing room. Again, 10 out of 10 show. Highly recommend you give it a look. And good news if you enjoy it, there's a whole second season on Netflix with a third season having been teased as of recording this video. On to the next show.
당신은 데블스 플랜에 초대되었습니다. 모든 인간은 사회가 요구하는 가면을 쓰고 살아갑니다.
The Devil's Plan is in many ways to the mind what Physical 100 is to the body. One of the standout aspects of the show is that all 12 contestants are Korean celebrities of some sort. So you've got actors, professional athletes, musicians, YouTubers, etc. And it's really fun to see these celebrities fan out so hard over other celebrities. One of the people on the show is a member of the boy band 17, and a few of the other contestants really freak out over getting to meet him. Everyone on the show starts with one piece, which is a currency of sorts. It can be traded amongst other players or used to purchase in-game benefits throughout the game. And any players that find themselves with no pieces will be eliminated. The challenges in this show are so fun to watch and so insanely interesting. Many times throughout the season of this show, Georgia and I would look over at each other like, how did they come up with this? And it's a lot of fun because you kind of get to play along with them in a lot of situations. Some of the challenges are solo, some of them require you to be on a team, but they're all brilliant and so uniquely designed. The stakes for this show are pretty high too. Each challenge determines how much money gets added to the ultimate prize pool, which can be up to 500 million won, which is about 375,000 USD. I'll also say, of all the reality TV I've ever watched, something about The Devil's Plan really has a way of getting you invested in the people in the show. I don't think I've ever cared so much about the people on a reality show I was watching. I really wanted to see them do well, and that makes the journey so much more emotional to take. There are a lot of layers to The Devil's Plan. There's stuff that the players figured out throughout the show that they didn't know going in. And it'll get to the point where you wonder, how much did they not find? How much was there to be discovered that did not get discovered? It's almost like a movie that you have to go back and watch a second time to really pick up on all the stuff you missed, because it kind of seems like everything in the show means something. Again, the creators of the show were just brilliant. So I still often wonder, like, what was there to be found that didn't get found? I would love a behind the scenes at some point. It's an all-around brilliant show, and I'm trying to be very careful about what I say about it because I want to be careful not to spoil it. I feel like if there's any show I could spoil unintentionally, it's The Devil's Plan. So I'm just trying to give you a very vague synopsis and also make it appealing enough for you to go watch it, because you really should go watch it. I think it's unlike any other reality show I've ever watched. There's so many elements of it that make it stand out from anything I think I've seen before. So it might be the most unique reality show I've ever seen. And I'm excited to tell you that they have announced a second season, so I will definitely be on the lookout for that. Let's move on to the last show. Siren Surviving the Island is a domination-style capture-the-flag game in which 6 teams of 4 face off in physically demanding tasks in an effort to expand their territory and ultimately conquer an entire island that looks like it's straight out of a Final Fantasy game. What makes this more interesting is each team is made up of members of a particular profession. We have firefighters, police, athletes, soldiers, bodyguards, and stuntmen, or should I say stunt women, because oh yeah, I didn't mention it yet, all the contestants are women. And you may be thinking, oh well, if they're women, they're probably not going at each other too hard. Well, think again. And it's really interesting to see how their different backgrounds and professions impact their decision making in situations like this. For example, there's this unbreakable energy that exudes from the soldiers where the other teams are very clearly unhappy and suffering, and the soldiers are almost basking in the misery of it. When I was in the Army, I think we referred to it as embracing the suck. The athletes obviously have a physical advantage over all the other teams, but that doesn't always mean success. The firefighters have a different type of fearlessness that really led to some intense situations. Every team is so different, and it's fascinating to watch how they all approach ultimately trying to achieve the same goal. On top of the contestants themselves being very fun to watch, the show is very well put together. Each team has a base to defend with a flag, and then they all each have their personal flag and a quiver on their back. The bases are all wildly different from one another, with everything from a seemingly impenetrable square fortress down to a basic camping tent. The show wastes no time getting intense with a very difficult challenge straight out of the gate, and one of the really fun things about the show is that just when you think the hard part's over, it's not. Once the bases are competed for and established, we move on to the main format of the show, which consists of arena challenges, where teams will compete in various contests to earn some sort of perk in the base battle phase that follows. The base battle phase can begin at any random time of day, triggered by a very anxiety-inducing siren, in which then contestants will have to suit up and either go attack another base and try to capture their flag, eliminating them from the game, or stay home and defend their flag, or some combination of the two. You could see where this would get tricky, as you don't really know what the other teams are doing. You don't know who kept their whole team at home to defend, you don't know whose whole team may be pushing your base, you don't know what's going on out there, so you have to make decisions with whatever information you've been able to gather throughout the day. It's really, really interesting to watch play out. This particular phase of the competition is very intense and surprisingly physical. These women are not playing games when it comes to getting these flags. If your base's flag is pulled, your team is eliminated from the show. If your personal flag is pulled, you're just eliminated until the end of the base battle, which ends when someone's base flag is pulled. By far the craziest thing about this show to me is that there's no prize. When you see how hard these women are fighting simply to win, it makes it that much more inspiring. The women on the show are all straight up badasses. I think they represented women so well. Siren Survived the Island is absolutely one of my favorite reality shows of all time, and I really hope they'll make a second season. If you only watch one show from this list, I think it should be this one. I appreciate you guys watching this video. Be sure and hit the like button if you liked it, and if you didn't like it, I want to give a big shout out to my Patreon members. I appreciate you guys more than I can say. Let me know if you have any reality shows you think I should check out. Maybe we'll do another video like this in the future. But otherwise, I'm getting out of here. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you in the next one.